Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to Steel Syndicate podcast post-game show with me, your host, Britsburgh, Owen, speaking to you here in the UK. And down under, Mr. Mark Davison. Mark, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing really well, mate. I woke up today at 5 a.m. and here we are at 8:30 a.m. Pretty high on life with 2 coffees.
Nice. So, so what time did the game actually kick off for you then?
5 a.m.
So what time did you actually get up?
4:20. I woke up about 4 a.m. today, had a shower, got ready for the game, prepped up. It's much better than 3 a.m. At least I got to sleep today, so it was good. I don't feel too bad.
Oh, man, that is early, man. That is an early morning.
Yeah, but it all
Early
works
morning.
out, man. We got back-to-back wins for the first time this season, and I think the
Absolutely.
team played pretty good. This small things we've got to work on, but we've got to win.
Absolutely.
And you can win and work things out because, and we'll talk about it, but yeah, it was a close game near the end, but they
Absolutely.
got the job done.
Absolutely. So let's just say in the live chat, say hey to JJ52 says win, win, win. Daredevil second in today, Daredevil Mark, bit of a shock there to the system.
Whoa, that's weird.
Amelia says, hey guys, back-to-back wins, yay.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Harrington says, hi Mark, hi Owen. And obviously Steelers, Cyan Jedi as well. Good Lord, that was a hell of a game. Okay, guys, so obviously the Steelers win back-to-back games for the first time this season and improve to 5-7. Mark, I think the first thing we're going to, before we actually deal with the game, Mark, and this is something that you and I have talked about at great length off the air, that victory will have really upset one group of Steeler fans today, won't it?
The Tank Nation. That's who. And I don't understand. If you're not on the train now, then we're a better chance of going to the playoffs right now than we are tanking. That's it. They're 2 games. If the Bengals lose today, it would have helped if the Ravens lost. But man, that Broncos offense is bad. That's a bad. I feel for our guys, Denver Broncos Syndicate engaged because that's a bad team. The Ravens also, I'll tell you right now, and the hot take, and I don't care if anyone calls me crazy. The Steelers win next week if they play that way. The Ravens suck, man. They might have Lamar Jackson out. They can't win games 9-6 or whatever they won, or 10-9.
Yeah.
We win that game. We beat the Ravens with the way we played today. Dead set. And that's why I don't like the Ravens always sneak away with wins too. They sneak away with wins with their defense and their kicking game. But very similar to how the Steelers play too, but at least we got a touchdown with Connor Haywood.
Absolutely. I think obviously you're very right in what you say about the Ravens there, Mark. I think you and I had a conversation during the week, didn't we, about the Ravens are really a one-man team, and that one man is Justin Tucker.
It's Tucker. Easily. Like they try and give Lamar Jackson MVP, but it's Tucker. Tucker's like their defense and him, without him, they're an awful team. But they came away with the W, and I was really hoping Denver could show up in the last few moments, but they didn't do that. And that sucks because they moved to 8-5. But we need the Bengals to lose. They go 7-5 would be fantastic. And we're back in this race. And the Jets lost today too, which is fantastic too. If the Chargers lose, here's one for you. If the Chargers and Bengals lose, right?
Yeah.
And then you never know, then we are dead set 2 games away from the playoffs. And got to keep stacking wins. And they're playing some good football.
They are playing some good football. Well,
so why would you want to be on the tank? Why would you want to be in the tank train when you're closer to the playoffs than you are away from the draft?
Yeah, so definitely. I think it was a solid performance, and let's address the elephant in the room straight away, shall we? Matt Quinn says, not Matt Quinn, you're not the elephant. Matt Canada called a pretty solid game. Our run game was good, but good Lord, why can't DJ catch anything? So I think there's a couple of elephants to address there, Mark. First of all, what was your take on Matt Canada today?
I thought the play calling, not only today, but over since the bye, something's changed. And also the common denominator too, since Claypool left, things have changed as well, right? They're getting the football involved to Connor Haywood. They're getting the ball involved to Ashesky and Sims. Those reverses kind of work today. I think Kenny Pickett's growing with confidence. So as much as I said, fire Canada, we all did, half the Steeler Nation did. They're calling a good game now. They just got to convert some of those drives into TDs. Because you can't win all games 19-16. But the game plan was pretty good today. It was run the football. It was get Kenny in motion. Kenny's deciding some good things, man. Like he's playing some good football where he runs the rock and there's space for him to do so. Like Canada's calling a pretty good game. I must admit, like whoever's calling the shots, it's working, and they're getting better every week.
I mean, I think obviously, if we deal with the positives first, I mean, obviously, I know Matt brings up the whole DJ thing, and I know that
I got a thing for you, that man. He didn't play
Brian
that bad.
alludes to the elusive third quarter again. But let's deal with some positives first. One of the things I was really impressed with today, Mark, was how the Steelers committed to run the ball and how it worked. It really did work today. They committed to run the ball and they had great success with running the ball. I mean, if we look at the statistics for a minute, Najee Harris, 17 carries, 86 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, which is very, very good indeed. Benny Snell, responding to your question you asked me the other day for the Britsburgh Q&A, can Benny make it stick? 6 carries, 24 yards, 4 yards a carry. Thought he was solid. Sims, three carries, 19 yards, 6.3. Kenny Pickett, 7-14, 2 yards. Jalen Warren only had 1 carry. I thought he had more than that, 5 yards per carry. Jarek Watt, 1 for 4, and Gunnar Olszewski, 2 for 2. So that's one big positive for me, Mark, was the way they committed to run the ball and they were successful doing it.
Everyone's running the ball, man. So that's the exact same similar stat line last week where they had 38 carries. This time they had 37 carries. Now, some were design runs with Kenny Pickett, but some were scrambles too, which count as a carry. Najee Harris played pretty good football today. They're not breaking them for 40 yards, but they're running tough. I can't speak because it's really early. Sorry. The best I've seen them run physically in a long time, like a very long time. I'm talking like 3 or 4 years, man. They are playing very physical. Benny Snell's playing physical. They're all going forward. Now, I want to transition to what about DJ's drops. I thought Deontay Johnson had a pretty good game today. Now, there was that one fumble. He got lucky, and that could have been a mistake, but he played pretty well. He had some good stats too. I think he had some good completions. What he had? He had 5 for 60, 20 yards, targets 11. I thought he played okay today. He didn't play that bad. Doesn't deserve to be thrown into the fire for sure. But I think the running game's working, and also Kenny Pickett threw under 30 times as well. So this is working, man. This stuff is working.
Yeah, the balanced offense really does work well. And like I said, Harris, I thought I was really impressed with Harris today because, the guy's come back off this injury, but it doesn't seem to bother him. He was fighting for every yard today. And those stiff arms that he threw on some of those Falcons guys, those Falcon guys have got a family, man. And they got owned on national TV. The way he shoved some of them to the ground, grown men, the big, huge grown men, he was just like basically get off,
playing very physical. Even when he got stuff behind the line, he would cut, he'd move forward, he'd turn his legs. It was good physical steel of football. I love to see it. Right now, the thing they need to improve on is, of course, finding those footballs to the end zone. Or one thing. Why did Olszewski cut back on move? Did you see that? Come on, man, that was a TD. If he takes out the right guy on the right hand side on that big run, that was a TD to Muth, was it not?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And
he came back. He came back to get the guy behind him. That's a stupid play.
I know. I think Gunnar Olszewski, he's a strange one for me. He really is. Since he doesn't obviously return the kicks and punts anymore, I really do fail to actually.
Here's a question:
what he does.
If Calvin Austin's in this game, right? There's no Olszewski, right?
Yeah.
If Calvin Austin is activated, he's healthy, then there's no Olszewski. So I didn't understand how that worked. Like Frymouth caught the football running down the sideline. He had to take away the guy coming on the angle. He turned back into Move, slowed Move down, then he got tackled. I was like, what are you doing? But overall, Move had a big game as well. I think this team, offensively speaking, is getting better each week. And I really do. I think people would say the Ravens are going to smash the Steelers because they're 8-4. But I find this game is going to be 50-50, man. If we can play physical in the same way, then this game this could be 3 in a row, mate, possibly.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're right. There's nothing particularly about the Ravens that scares me. There really isn't,
And if Lamar Jackson's out, they probably have a better chance to win, to be honest, with Huntley.
Because was it Huntley? Yeah, Tyler Huntley was their quarterback today. So, yeah. But, I think, if you also identify a massive positive there again for the Steelers, I think the link-up play between Kenny Pickett and Pat Freiermuth today was absolutely fantastic. I know Pat only had 3 receptions, but 3 receptions, 76 yards, 25.3 yards per reception. The guy's a beast, isn't he?
Oh, big time. I'm telling you, that was almost a TD too. It's such a great play. I think Kenny's running out of the pocket. I think he's finding He's getting comfortable too, and he's finding the guys that he needs to go to. Now, I want to talk about this as well. What are your thoughts on the frustrations of George Pickens? Because I'm telling you right now, the fella's got to calm down. It's a team game. I don't care. I don't care if you're getting frustrated. You need to. I saw him on the field saying the F bombs and this kind of stuff. He has to calm down. I don't care how frustrated you are. At the end of the day, you're a rookie. Do you see Connor Hayward yelling those things? No, you don't. Connor Hayward had a fantastic game too. Yeah. Why is Pickens, and I know he's a physical guy, but I don't want to turn you into a diva, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, calm down, play team football.
I think all receivers are divas, though, aren't they, Mark? I think that's part of the problem with wide receivers. Yeah, I think he does need to calm down. I think the big thing I think for Pickens, though, is he's obviously gone from being the main man at Georgia, where everything went through him, where he was the guy who they threw to in all those situations, where he's gone to an NFL team where we have a range of different targets. Obviously, we've got DJ, we've got Pat Freiermuth, we've got Harris, we've got Stephen Sims. We've got a number of targets they're going to go to. And also the fact, I think, he's got to start to accept that now he is becoming a more known package, shall we say, in the NFL. Teams are going to put more people on him. They're going to cover him. They're going to double team him. They're going to give him less space to move, which is therefore going to reduce the amount of targets that he gets because, Pickett's not going to throw into double coverage. I thought Pickett did throw very well into tight windows today. That was very, very impressive from Pickett. Another big step forward to him. But yeah, I think you're right. And one thing that I was very impressed with was, I don't know whether you saw this, Mark, but there was a point where he was sat on the sideline, and I think it was Frisman Jackson was talking to him. But then a few seconds later, Cam Hayward went over to him and was talking to him as well. That was a real veteran move by Cam to go. I think Cam did go and tell him.
He's a young fella, and the offense is building, but like, you can't be yelling at the staff like that. I just don't want to see those tendencies come out like this so early, man. Yeah. Like, it's of course, if you are open, but every single receiver says he's open. DJ is the similar thing too. The offense is clicking, though. You can't make it about yourself. You got the W. Don't turn yourself into a later on Antonio Brown, right? Go out there, become a rookie, and if you get one target per game, so be it. That's it. Move on. If you make this about yourself, you'll be the locker room will turn cancerous, and you can't do that. But he is playing very physical, and he can get those footballs. But to me, you're a rookie. Just enjoy the W. Enjoy that Connor Hayward got a TD. He's worked himself into this offense 110%. Like, he's done the hard yards on teams, done the hard yards blocking, the hard yards in a tight end block too, right? He's doing all the hard yards, and he got the chance for a TD. He's went and got that. That's the kind of play I want to see. I don't want to see Pickens go out there and badmouth the team because he's not getting the football. There's 53 men on the team, and they're playing good on offensively speaking, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Not great, but they're playing good.
They're doing it's what we would call in the UK workmanlike. It's workmanlike. They come in, they do a job, they move on, and it's very, very workmanlike type performance. I thought Kenny made more steps forward again. Another game, no turnovers, and a touchdown pass again.
Mm-hmm.
He made steps forward. He threw into tight windows very nicely. He made some very good decisions. I think he's really growing into this role now and taking on board what it is to be a starter in the NFL.
Big time, man. Also, time of possession too. Shout out to Canada as well. Shout out the whole offense, man. They're just playing better. And the defense is like a few holes here and there, but they won the game with a pick, right? So it's back and forth. But the offense had the possession of 32 minutes. So they're going to improve their ranking from 8 to probably about 7 or 6 now. Since the bye, man, they're 3-1. There's just so much positive news to be, a lot of people out there, we need a tank, we need draft picks, we need this. No, we need the team to win. You imagine, right? You imagine if the team tanks, how bad that Pickens is acting now. Some players will act like when they win a game, if they're losing. You can't lose confidence. You've got to build this team. It's a young offense. I think it's the youngest offense in the league. Freiermuth, Najee, the offensive tackles are pretty young, right? Warren, Snell's still pretty young to a certain degree. Pickett, they're all young fellas. Winning builds a winning culture, and they're getting this right now, and 2 in a row. And I believe what Matt Quinn says there. 17-13 Steelers next week. I think they have a big chance to upset the Ravens because I don't think the Ravens can score.
Score
goals.
I know it's not the Steelers, Mark, but do you see similarities between how the Ravens are playing last year and how they finished the season? How they're playing this year, and how they finished the season last year?
Yeah, and I called it. Good segue, because I called it last year. I said to everyone on the internet, whoever followed me or whatnot, I said the Ravens wouldn't win another game. They lost 6 in a row because Lamar went down. Could be very look. I'm not saying Tyler Huntley's a pretty good backup, but can he go out there and win games? Right? If they can't run their offense without Lamar. So they very well could lose all the games again, and it might set up for a chance that the Bengals could win the North again. So next week, if we beat, I don't know what's going to happen. If we beat the Ravens, is that finally the chance where the Steelers might be back in it for the media?
Oh yeah, because I mean that means we improved to 6 and 7. We beat the team that are leading the division. But I think you're right. The Ravens got lucky again today. I mean, 10-9 over a very, 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 very poor Broncos team. I mean, the Broncos, and like you said at the start, I feel for Gage and I feel for how passionate that guy is about his team.
Oh, same.
But I really do feel for him, and I think the Seattle Seahawks have absolutely fleeced the Denver Broncos. They really have fleeced them in that trade for Russell Wilson. But if you look at the Ravens as well, the Ravens went last week and lost to the Jags. That's the same Jags team that got absolutely cooked by the Lions.
So this is we're going to build this whole narrative on Steel Syndicate and on Britsburgh, Owen, and Steel Oz. The Ravens could be classed as overrated. We got so much flack for being 11-0, and that happened last year. Exactly right. And I called it 6-0. They lose. Yeah. So it's unbelievable. The scary team might be the Browns, and I know we don't want to talk about Watson too much, but the Browns won today too, so they're 5-7, right?
So it was largely because of their defense that they won today.
The defense got an interception, fumble recovery, and a kickoff return. Watson didn't do anything. That's fantastic. He struggled. He's not the best quarterback there. I still think they should play in Brissett, but they're playing because he's got the money. But the thing is, right, the Ravens now have so much pressure on them, and they're winning games sneaking away. So if the Steelers can go out next week and have a big chance to win, I reckon this confidence in the team is growing and coming back to home too. The Steelers just won back-to-back games away. Does that not mean anything to you, Owen? Not you, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Mark.
Whatever people say, the tank train is it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. There's gonna be so many excuses that they just beat the Saints. They just beat the Colts, are a bad team. Jeff Saturday's the interim head coach or whatever he is, players coach. No, they went out, they won the games. They're 3-1 after the bye. They're playing good football at the moment. They're actually pretty high ranking offense after, I think, the bye. And Kenny hasn't thrown an interception. Right?
Yeah.
They're playing good football and they're running the rock. What more do you want, Steel Nation? Yes, we played bad, but now they're playing good.
Yeah. And Mark, like Mark Quinn says, Steelers don't tank. Only teams like the Browns and the Texans tank. I'll never understand fans that want us to lose for draft picks, which is what you and I were saying. Yeah, do you guys really want to turn into the Browns? And I know it's slightly going off topic, but but it's like I said on the video I did yesterday. Go ask a Lions fan how tanking's worked out for them. Go ask a Browns fan how tanking's worked out for them. Go ask a Jags fan how tanking's worked out for them. Go ask a Jets fan how long it's taken them to get back to a winning record. How many seasons of pure misery they've had to go through to get to this.
They might miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
They had Giants the same.
The Giants the same. They've had numbers of years where they've tanked and done awful. Go ask those teams. I'd love to one day get our friend Grid from Detroit Lions Syndicate on and ask him how he feels about tanking. Because I'll tell you something, he hates it, doesn't he, Mark?
He's told us too. Our mate Grid from Gridiron Blitz and Detroit Lions Syndicate, another Syndicate podcast, right? He has told us that we're spoiled and we're lucky to have the six rings, right? They won a great game today. The Detroit Lions beat them 40-17 versus the Jags. So the Ravens lose against the Jags. The Detroit Lions beat the Jags. Therefore, Lions are better than Ravens. Actually, I think the Ravens would beat. I think the Lions would beat the Ravens this year. They got stuck away with a 66-yard field goal last year. I really think if I'm calling the Bungles overrated, I think the Ravens got some problems too. So we're going to talk about that all week. But this is a great win for the Steelers franchise. I think get back at it to teach the fellas that they can do it. Minka, end of the game. I think Edmonds played well. I think there were some lapses too in defense, but I think they played pretty well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to the offense minute, there's one thing that one negative, I think, and one slight cause for concern, not cause for concern, but one thing they need to work on, I think, is their red zone offense.
Yeah, I agree.
It does seem that once they get into the red zone, the offense is stalling quite a lot now. And that's worrying because I think going into those bigger games against those bigger teams where you get less opportunities to actually score, like the Ravens, like the I don't know who else. The Raiders have improved substantially over the last few games. The Browns, I know, are improving, and it's an AFC North divisional clash. It's going to be a tough game. I just think that you've got to start converting more of those red zone opportunities into 7 points rather than 3 points, and that is the one concern for me, that they're not punching the ball enough. They did it once with Connor Hayward, which was brilliant, and Connor was great, but there was too many times that it stalled. And it stalled because of individual mistakes or silly penalties or
big time,
a bad call, or Deontay Johnson dropped that slant route that he went on that last year.
Oh yeah, he did drop that one. That's on him for sure. But there were times he got the first down to end the game, right, too. So
yeah,
I think 50-50 for that. I think he made up for his mistakes. The thing is, the Steelers offense only scored 3 points the second half. Right, they're coming out firing now, which is like the opposite, right? With Big Ben, they stalled in the first half and they came back to win. Now they're coming out strong and they can't finish the game, but they finished the game with the run too. I thought if they had to end it, 19-16, and that punt too, man. Shout out! Like, are we gonna do game balls today? Because I got some players I want to give game balls out to. Shout out to Presley Harvin, that punt right down the 2-yard line was fantastic, man.
Absolutely.
So I know I'm all over the shop because I had 2 coffees, man. Can you tell?
Wired, man, wired. So yeah, I think that is the one. Take lots of positives on offense today. Like I said, running the ball, massive positive. Time on the eat the clock up, chew the clock, which is something that I said that they need to do to keep the Falcons offense off the field and keep our defense rested. Shout out to them for doing that. Really good today. Some big performances by certain individuals. Kenny Pickett made steps forward, all positive. Like I said, but the one development point has to be that they now need to, when they get in the red zone, convert more opportunities into touchdowns.
Yes. And that will come if they're playing this similar way, because we thought a lot of podcasts I did with yourself or Stay the Steelers or In Hindsight or wherever I was, it's like, can they back it up? And they definitely backed it up, but you're right. Can they go and get the touchdown? Because you want to put the pedal to the metal and you want to make the other team go for it on 4th downs, right? And start to throw the ball. Because in the third quarter, the Falcons ran all over us, right? But the first half, we held them to 25 points on the ground. I thought the defensive line played pretty well, but I think this game was I'm sorry, I'm watching the Bengals game too. Let's go. The Chiefs got a pick. I think they can. I don't know, dude. I sense something here. I sense a good thing happening, right? I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but if they win all 6 games and a few things happen, why not? Why not us?
Yeah. I mean, George Tester says, and then live chat as well, that was a great call.
I agree.
Instead of field goal. I mean, I think Tomlin obviously gets a lot of criticism from a lot of people, and
I'm going
to say that was actually a brave call, wasn't it? Because if that had been a Shankopotamus from or Presley Harvin, it could have easily been, well, why didn't he go for the 3 points? Why didn't he try and kick the field goal? Here's an interesting question, Mark. If Chris Boswell had played today, would he have gone for the field goal, not the punt?
Possibly, but I'm so glad he went for the punt, and I like the way he's a Shankopotamus. That's I'm pretty sure it's a native possum in Australia. That's it, right? Tomlin gets all the flack. Fire Tomlin for this, fire Tomlin for that. He makes a good call because Matthew Wright hasn't got the distance, and shout out to Matthew Wright as well, right? Got 12 points on the day. Made the right call. Presley Humphrey punts in the 2-yard. Like it's game over. You can't run 98 yards in 30 seconds. So, hey man. All right, let's give out some game balls, man. You want to give out some game balls or what?
Yeah, let's go down. Let's go through the 3 elements of the team. Let's go through the offense, the defense, and also the special teams as well. So let's start on. We haven't talked about them yet, so let's start on the defense. Who are your game balls you're going to give out on the defense?
I think to be very honest, I think it's Minka. I think Minka played a really good game. I think the way Minka sealed the game too was fantastic, and I like the way that Minka came down into the box too. Came down the box. He had that tackle for, I think, a loss on Cordell Patterson. I think he played pretty well. And they didn't allow anything deep. They allowed nothing too deep, right? Everything was in front of them, but they couldn't stop the run on certain occasions. But I'm going to give a game ball to Minka. I thought he played fantastic.
I would agree. Minka definitely deserves a game ball. And Minka, I think, as well, that interception was such an intelligent play from Minka as well.
I know. Can you walk me through this? Because I thought when I called it live, I was like, why wouldn't he run into the end zone? But I don't know.
I think because he obviously didn't want to give the Falcons the ball back. He wanted to give the opposition the offense they do the victory formation to finish the game and then. Whereas if he ran into the end zone for a touchdown, we kick the field, we kick the extra point. It then gives the Falcons opportunity to have the ball back again. So very intelligent play by Minka.
Well, you'd be up by 10 points. So I think someone said in my live chat that if he runs to the end zone, someone could fumble. You could fumble near the end zone because they have, of course, someone said he's going to escape injury and he's going to escape the chance of a fumble. So I was like, it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
it makes sense for sure.
But yeah, I thought he did very well. So yeah, defense definitely him. I'm also going to give a game ball to someone who's had a lot of criticism recently for his coverage skills. Arthur Mollett, that break up on the Drake London pass into the end zone. If London catches that, it's a different game. They take the lead. I think it's a very, very different game. So I'm going to give Arthur Mollett for that one play there. You know, the way he broke it up. And I know that Arthur Smith, the Falcons head coach, wasn't happy. He wanted PI called on that, but if you look at it, it was a very
that was not
play.
A PI. That I don't think it was a PI. In my opinion,
no, it wasn't a PI. I mean, I know these days if you breathe on a receiver, you get a PI called against you. But I thought Mollett deserved credit there to stay with Drake London. I know London's only a rookie, but he was the first receiver taken in the draft this year. He is a very talented player, and I thought that Mollett deserves a game ball for that piece of coverage because, like I said, you know, London catches that and it becomes a very different game at that point. It's 23-19 and the Steelers are faced with a situation where they've actually got to drive down the field and try and win the game.
Oh, that would have been horrible. That would have been horrible. It would have been fun to see, but still horrible because we led the whole time. I think he's playing well. I think the veteran guy in Mollett who's coming out, you know, he's the one that was he the one that yelled at Chase Claypool or yelled at someone in the locker room?
He did. He was yelled at a few of them for laughing and joking on the sideline during the Buffalo game.
So yeah, man, he's that veteran guy in the locker room. Of course, he gets beat sometimes too, but I like the way too he had this defensive schemes coming down the box too. They rush Sutton in too sometimes. You don't know who's coming in there, do you? You have no idea. No. So I thought they're playing pretty well, and yeah, that pass breakup was fantastic, and it was no way a PI. And I call it both ways, right? There were some things that I've seen in the past in games. I'm not so biased, but you can't call PI there. It would ruin the game.
Definitely. I know this is not a game ball, but I mean, to what extent do you agree with Matt Quinn with this comment that he makes? Still feel like TJ is not healthy, but he's a warrior, but you can tell he's limited at the moment.
The good thing is that we're winning with him playing a bit average, right? And that's a good thing. So he hasn't got a sack yet. I think he's got what 2 sacks this year. Maybe it's an off year. 1 sack this year. So yeah, I don't know, but we're winning without him, right? But there's a big difference though when Malik Reed gets in there, it's like ghost town. There's no point. There's no point having an outside linebacker in his position, right? So, but they did their best too. They held up. They held up. I don't think that we sacked them once, right?
Yeah.
Mariota got sacked by Cameron Haywood, and there was pressure though from TJ on that too. So I think it was pretty good. He's playing okay.
So yeah. No, I agree. So the game balls were given for the defense. Just to recap, Minka Fitzpatrick, I think, gets the golden game ball, maybe if we're going to call it that way, and Arthur Mollett gets the honourable mention game ball for the defense. Now let's move into the offense. Mark, who are you giving your? Let's take it like that. Let's take it like a golden game ball, an honourable mention game ball. So who's the golden game ball going to on the offense?
All right, I'm going to give the golden game ball to Najee Harris. I thought he played fantastic. I like the way that he runs. His legs churning reminds me of like old Steeler mentality football. And in the secondary to that, you can't run well without a O-line. I give it honorary mention to the offensive line. Sure, there were penalties, but they are pushing this pocket forward. They're so close to getting to the second level and creating some holes for Najee, but they're not stopping. They've now run. What did I check then? They had how many on the ground? They had 154 yards on the ground. Come on, man, that's doing something. The O-line's playing great.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with you 100% about the golden game ball going to Najee Harris. I thought Najee was fantastic. I thought, again, 5 yards per carry, but it wasn't just the 5 yards per carry. It was the mentality that he went into that game with, the hard yards, the fighting, the battling, and the fact that those stiff arms, and I think, like someone said earlier in the live chat, but I can't find it now. But he baptized someone in the dirt, which I thought was fantastic. A fantastic comment by someone.
Think about this, right? The Steelers just went into Colt territory away, got the W. Steelers went into Falcon territory, got the W. 2 teams that are near the playoffs. So the Falcons are pretty close to winning the division. They're 1 game away.
Yeah.
So they're playing some good football, and they're exactly right. Najee stepped up today for sure.
Yeah,
And I like
definitely.
Matt Quinn. I agree too. I agree. I was going to give Kenny mine.
So yeah, that was going to be my honourable mention for me. The honourable mention game ball was for me was going to go to Kenny because I think Kenny's someone who's had an awful lot of unfair criticism over the weeks leading into the bye. And he's had the whole he's a bust. He's had the whole he's not an NFL standard quarterback. He's Mr. Average, blah blah blah. But he's making steps forward. He's learning. He's taking on board what he's obviously been taught. He's starting to gain a lot more confidence now, as we saw with the audible he called in the Colts victory last Monday night. So yeah, honourable mention to Kenny Pickett for definite. But I do like what you said about the O-line, Mark. I do agree with that.
Oh, they're getting better as well. They're playing more cohesive. Let me ask you this question, right? We judge these quarterbacks so high on a pedestal to be Super Bowl champions. Here's a an easy question. Is Kenny Pickett playing good?
Yes, he is playing good.
He's playing good. That's what we need right now, him to play good. He's rolling out of the pocket. He's finding receivers. He's running the football. Now, I did hear the mention of the commentary team say he should be sliding rather than run outside. Possibility because he could be open for a big tackle getting on the outside too. But I like the way he's playing. I like the way that he's running the football. I like the way that he's passing and short passing. Now, can he develop the routes and go down the field? For sure. But he's playing good. He's playing good, man. That's all we need right now. It's good to be great.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, he isn't, I get, and we're not saying, guys, anyone who comes and wants to criticize, we're not saying he's playing great. We're not saying he's playing outstanding. We're not saying he's elite. What we're saying is he's playing good. He's playing a good game week in, week out. And yeah, you're right. His running is actually giving the defense something they need to think about, because I can't remember. I think it was DK was talking about this during the week, and he was saying that, I think it was actually it was with Ramon Foster who was talking about this, and he was saying that the whole reason that Benny Snell touchdown worked, where Benny was able to go in untouched, was because the defense was so focused on Kenny Pickett. They were worried about what Pickett was going to do because they know he's a threat with his legs. They know he can fight in from that short distance, and their focus was with him. And if you watch the All-22 footage, the Colts defensive line goes where Pickett goes, and that's why it's open for Snell, because they're more worried about Pickett than they are about the running back at the end of the day. And his mobility is starting to give teams something to think about, and I think that is a massive positive. And,
each week it's getting better. Each week it's getting it's building that anticipation.
Absolutely. And like I said, Ben, I thought Ben was fantastic, throughout his career. And I thought Ben obviously dragged our asses to the playoffs last year, but the one thing that Ben couldn't do is what Kenny can do, which is run the ball. No disrespect to Ben. Ben's legs had gone at the end of his career.
It was fun to watch, though, wasn't it? When it was Big Ben rookie, or in his mid-career, the big fella running was kind of funny to watch.
He was, at the start of his career, he was phenomenal. And I was watching a video the other day about him at the start of his career when he was shrugging off defenders, throwing them over his back, and.
They couldn't tackle him. He was just too big. He was a 6'5" human, like massive dude. They couldn't tackle him to the ground. So
I think I heard, was it one defensive coordinator said he was like a block of flats to try and bring down. That's how.
He's pretty much a size of Gentry, right, or size of Frymouth throwing the football. And if you're rushing and he moves a little bit, right, the arm tackle won't bring him down. So now Kenny hasn't got that big posture, but still, I think he's playing pretty well, man. I think the Kenny hate train to a certain degree is slowed down as well. The Kenny hate train is stalling to a certain degree, and so's the tank train too. They're both stalling because we are winning. Look at that. Winning fixes everything, right?
Yeah, and then turning to the last group, not to diss them, because we all know how important it is, as we're told on a frequent basis. When we make comments about Marcus Allen and Derek Watt.
He made a play today, though. He made a good play today.
Yeah, and Benny Snell. Apparently Derek Watt is 5 for 5 on third down conversions when it's 3rd and 1, apparently.
Really? There you go. Yeah. But I like that. Now they're using him in the offense more, aren't they? Using Sims more in the offense. They're using these guys more in the offense. It's not as predictable anymore. It's starting to work, I think.
So who would you give your golden game ball to on special teams?
Easy, mate. Matthew Wright is going to find a job in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's playing. He's kicking well for us. And he scored 12 points today. He scored the majority of the points on the field. So 46 yards, three of them, I think, a 50, maybe a 50 or 40 something yard kick. He, to me, gets maybe the MVP because he kicked all the points.
And also the fact that I think big respect to him, because that first week he came into the team where he missed those chances, he missed those field goals. He was getting a lot of criticism, and I think, I'll take it on board. I said it myself. Why get rid of Skiba? Why bring him in when he's going to do that? And I for one thought he was going to be gone after that week, but. Big respect to him. The guy's showing some real courage and bravery to go back out on the field and do what he's done in the last few games.
Also, are we allowed to block and delete anyone that says Matthew Wright over Chris Boswell? Is that a thing? Can we please do that?
Yes, we can.
That's a rule. If you guys say, honestly, if you guys think it's going to be Matthew Wright over Chris Boswell, you will be blocked.
Yeah.
I think I respect all opinions, but that one's wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Chris Boswell is probably,
mate.
He's probably what, and as much as this pains me to say it, he's probably the second best kicker in the NFL after Justin Tucker is a very good kicker. Look, I mean, even as a Raven, you've got to admit that.
Yeah, he is.
But Matthew Wright, I think you're right. He will find a team in the NFL.
I hope he does. I hope he does, man. Next year, this year, I hope he does.
Because how many kickers get cut? Loads of kickers get cut.
I think what's going to happen is once Chris Boswell comes back from IR and hopefully he's healthy. Depending what they do with the kicker. Now, I don't know if this could be a scenario, but maybe that Boswell might stay on IR and we might finish the season with Wright. What are your thoughts on that? If that happens,
that is a possibility.
Like, do we need to have Boswell this year? Can we save him for next year? Can they run this season out with Matthew Wright? That could be a possibility.
They could give him the full rest of the season just to heal up and be ready to go next season. But I just want to dispel one rumor that I've heard a few people starting. After Ben Roethlisberger came out on his footballing podcast and said that Chris Boswell was calling out Matt Canada when he said what he said. There's been a few people that have said maybe that's why he was placed on IR as a punishment for saying that, which I think is utter rubbish. I think it's conspiracy theory. I know conspiracy theories are a massive thing in the United States of America. And I know you all love a good conspiracy theory, and I know there's a fair few people in high places of influence in the States who love a conspiracy theory, but I think there's absolutely no truth whatsoever in that conspiracy theory.
He's on IR because he's hurt. That's why.
Yeah, not because he said something he shouldn't have done.
No, but it could be an idea that if he's hurt for the whole season, 5 games to go now, right? 5 games to go?
Yeah, 5 and 7 to 12. Yeah, 5 games to go.
Yeah, 5 games to go. So they could possibly keep him on IR for the rest of the season, and then bring him back next year and give Matthew Wright the best chance to kick for the Steelers, because he's playing pretty well right now. So that could be a possibility. But I don't know, man. Shout out to him. We talked a lot about kickers, but shout out.
Yeah, definitely, 100% shout out to Matthew Wright. Yeah, guys. So I think it was a positive performance. Am I all right, Sugar? Yeah, I've just got a bad cough and cold at the moment. I am dying of man flu. So
it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing.
Which we all know is worse than when women get it, because women deal with it a lot better. Don't we, Mark?
George says Canada kicked him in the groin.
Yeah, he did. Definitely. But I think, guys, let's take the positive away. Let's take the positives away from today. We've got a lot of positives to build on going into next week's game against the Ravens. The offense looked better again, steps forward.
Can I end on one thing? Because I know we're going to end soon. If you're not happy after 2 weeks, why are you watching? That's it. Why are you watching? If you're not happy after 2 weeks of the Steelers are playing better and they're hopeful to get a win, right? If you're not happy after 2 weeks, I don't understand why you watch the game. I really don't understand it. I don't understand why you would cheer your team to lose. Now being 5 and 7, 2 games away, 2 or 3 games away from the playoffs, 5 games to go. If they can win out, you have a chance, right? Yeah. I don't understand why you would cheer them to lose. And also, they're playing better this year. If you want them to lose, treat these games as preseason games for next year, because everything's getting better. I don't get it. If you are dead set, if you wanted the team to lose, then do us all a favor. Don't talk to us in the comments, and check out and come back in April. We will enjoy the ride and maybe a chance at playoffs. You can enjoy the tank train by yourself with your mates, talking about how much you hate Tomlin, and sit there in your misery and come back in April. I'm done with it, man. What are you doing? The team has beaten 2 games on the road, have a chance to come back to the Ravens, who they can beat too. Come on, man.
Alex Mahoney says in the live chat, great win. Would this type of gameplay have changed the beginning of the season losses? Yeah, I think it would
have been, man. Could have been.
if we could have established the run in the same way that we've done in the past few weeks, I think there's a number of games that especially those close games against the likes of the Patriots, against the Dolphins, against against the Browns, that could have certainly been changed if we'd had that that type of play. I agree with that. But yeah, let's take away the positives from today. Let's take away the fact that Kenny's got better again. He's made steps forward again in his development. The running game was very encouraging. The fact that they committed to the run and they were able to establish the run, and the time of possession was very, very good indeed. I know people may criticize the defense and say the defense wasn't that great today, but we held an NFL team to under 20 points again. So again, another positive.
They came up clutch. They came up clutch, and I don't like Pepper. These people they're just so beyond crazy, man. Crazy. Yeah. Like, the team is winning. You support your team, you win. You still have a chance to go out and beat Baltimore, to shrink the gap between the division. The Chiefs are losing right now, but if they beat the Bengals, it shrinks even more. You have a last-minute game against the Browns. It could be for the division if you get that far, right? It just doesn't make any sense. If the Falcons go and upset the Ravens, the Falcons could beat the Ravens with their own game. The Ravens play us, and then the Ravens versus the Falcons. The Falcons could beat the way they played today. The Falcons could beat the Ravens at their own game.
100%.
I'm so done with them. I'm done. Support your team.
Yeah. Yes, Alex. Jackson is hurt at the moment. Yeah, that's why Huntley played the majority of snaps this week for the Ravens. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, positives to draw from today. Obviously, keep checking out the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate this week. Lots of news in the build-up to the Baltimore game.
Oh, yeah, big time.
AFC North Division Ball. As Mike Tomlin says, he loves to be in the kitchen when it's hot in the kitchen, and that's the AFC North Ball. We look forward to taking on the Ravens at Acrisure Stadium, and Mark and I look forward to talking about hopefully another Steelers victory next Sunday over the Ravens. Mark, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts are the team's playing really well. We need to enjoy the win, right? Enjoy the win. Also, I hope you get better. It's nothing worse than being sick. But I have this saying for you, and I made this up. For every moment that you are sick, you are getting healthy at the same time. Think about that. There's a bit of philosophy for you. The moment you're sick now, for every moment, every second of every day, you're getting better. That's exactly right? Now, that's the same kind of thing with our Steelers, right? For every moment of every second of every day, of every hour, the Steelers are getting better. They're playing better. And next week, when we verse the Baltimore Ravens, they're on a 0-4 losing streak against the Steelers. No Lamar Jackson, we have a chance. But I'm kind of scared because Huntley's a different kind of player to Lamar. So I think he's a better passer. I think he's a much better passer than Lamar Jackson. But overall, man, I feel good.
Definitely. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Steel Syndicate podcast. Thank you to everyone in the live chat for your comments, questions, and statements about the team and the game today. And anyone who has been watching the game and hasn't obviously watching the podcast and hasn't commented, thank you for watching. And anyone who picks up this podcast at a later date, thank you for choosing to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. If you're new to the Syndicate, hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and go and check out some of the other content as well. Now, Mark, I can't shout because if I do, I go into like a huge coughing fit. So, Mark, can you see us out, buddy?
All right, here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Let's go. Come on, big win.